Hello and welcome. Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine standing at the threshold of impossibility. Before you stretches a staircase, not merely grand or expansive, but truly infinite. Steps rise above you into darkness so complete that torchlight cannot pierce it. Steps descend below you into that same absolute void. And to your sides, more stairs branch away at angles that should not exist, defying every law of architecture and geometry you have ever known. This is the infinite staircase, and you are about to embark on a journey through one of the most mysterious and enigmatic locations in all the planes of existence. The infinite staircase exists beyond the boundaries of any single plane, beyond the crystal spheres of the prime material, beyond even the comprehension of most mortals who walk the worlds. It is a place between places, a pathway connecting the infinite cosmos. Some scholars of planar travel describe it as existing within the astral plane, yet it operates by its own rules, following its own strange logic. Others claim it belongs to no plane at all, that it is its own unique demiplane, a construction that predates even the oldest civilizations of the multiverse. When you first set foot upon the infinite staircase, the sensation is unlike anything you have experienced. The steps beneath your feet feel solid, real, made of stone or wood or materials you cannot quite identify. Some steps are ancient, worn smooth by countless feet over countless ages. Others appear freshly carved, their edges still sharp, dust from their creation still settling in the air around them. And stranger still, as you stand there, you hear the distant sounds of construction. Hammers striking stone, saws cutting through wood, the scrape of trowels spreading mortar. Somewhere, always just out of sight, someone or something is building more stairs, extending this impossible structure further into the void. The illumination of the staircase comes from sources as varied as the planes it connects. Torches burn with mundane fire on some landings, their flames casting dancing shadows that seem almost alive. Lanterns hang from posts that appear without warning, glowing with oils from distant worlds. Magical lights hover in the darkness, balls of luminescence in every color imaginable. Some steps glow with their own internal radiance, pulsing gently as if breathing. And yet, despite all these light sources, the darkness beyond remains absolute. If you were to step off the stairs, if you were to try to fly or levitate into that void, you would vanish. Those who have tried have never returned, swallowed by the blackness as completely as if they had never existed. You walk forward, and the architecture defies everything you know. A staircase spirals upward to your left, corkscrewing into the darkness above. To your right, stairs descend in a straight line that seems to go on forever. Ahead of you, a landing opens up, a platform perhaps 20 feet across, and from it, 6 more staircases branch away in different directions. Some of the stairs are narrow, barely wide enough for a single person. Others are grand processional ways, wide enough for a dozen people to walk abreast. The materials change as you move. Stone gives way to wood. Wood transforms into crystal. Crystal shifts into metals you do not recognize. Some sections appear to be carved from a single piece of material, seamless and perfect. Others are cobbled together from mismatched parts, as if the builders used whatever materials they had at hand. Every landing serves as a junction, a crossroads in this impossible maze. And on every landing, you find a door. These doors are as varied as the stairs themselves. Some are massive portals of bronze or iron, carved with symbols and sigils from civilizations long forgotten. Others are simple wooden doors, no different from what you might find in any village cottage. There are doors of crystal that shimmer with inner light. Doors of stone that appear to be part of the wall itself. Doors that exist only as shimmering curtains of energy. Doors that are not doors at all, but archways or gaps or tiers in reality itself. Each door leads somewhere. Through one, you might glimpse a bustling marketplace in the city of brass on the elemental plane of fire. Through another, a quiet temple in the forests of Arborea. A third might open onto the silver void of the astral plane, while a fourth connects to a forgotten dungeon deep beneath some prime material world. The infinite staircase touches everywhere and nowhere, and through its doors, a traveler could theoretically reach any destination in the multiverse. But the doors do not open easily. Each is locked by puzzles, riddles, and mysteries that must be solved. Some require keys, physical objects that might be found elsewhere on the staircase, or brought from distant planes. Others demand the answer to a riddle spoken in ancient languages. Still, others need specific actions performed, patterns traced, songs sung, or sacrifices made. The gravity on the infinite staircase behaves according to its own whims. On one landing, down is the direction you expect, pulling you toward your feet. You climb a set of stairs, reach another landing, and suddenly down has shifted. What was a wall is now the floor. What was the ceiling is now just another wall. You orient yourself to this new perspective, and the stairs that seemed to be climbing now appear to descend. It is disorienting at first, this constant shifting of spatial relationships, but travelers learn to adapt, to trust their immediate perceptions, rather than trying to maintain a consistent sense of up and down. Some landings have no gravity at all, leaving visitors floating freely in the space. Others have gravity that pulls in multiple directions simultaneously, creating zones of confusion where objects and people tumble in impossible arcs. As you journey deeper into the infinite staircase, you notice more peculiarities. Time does not flow consistently here. You might walk for what feels like hours, only to discover that mere minutes have passed in the outside worlds. Or you could rest for what seems a brief moment and find that days or weeks have elapsed elsewhere. The staircase exists somewhat outside the normal flow of temporal reality. Its relationship with time as strange as its relationship with space. This temporal distortion means that travelers cannot rely on normal measures of duration or scheduling. Food spoils at unpredictable rates. Sleep cycles become confused. Spells with time-dependent durations might last far longer or shorter than expected. The construction you hear, that constant background noise of building and crafting, never ceases. No matter where you go on the infinite staircase, you hear it. Sometimes it sounds close, as if just around the next corner. Other times it echoes from far away, distant, and dreamlike. But you never see the builders, these mysterious entities, called the Masons by those who study the staircase, work in perfect invisibility. Some theorize they exist slightly out of phase with normal reality, visible only to those with special sight or magical perception. Others believe they are completely incorporeal, spirits or elementals of some kind that can manipulate physical matter without possessing physical forms themselves. A few scholars suggest the Masons might be creatures of pure time, beings that exist in temporal states different from normal consciousness, building in moments between moments. What drives the Masons to their endless construction? Why do they build stairs that lead nowhere and everywhere? The answers remain mysteries. Based on the staircase's continuous expansion, some believe it is not truly infinite, but is always growing, reaching towards some ultimate completion that will never arrive. The Masons might be following a grand design, a cosmic blueprint known only to them and perhaps to the powers they serve. Others think the construction is an end in itself, that the act of building is the purpose, and the staircase grows simply because that is its nature. It is not a structure being built toward completion, but a structure whose existence is the building itself. The infinite staircase connects to numerous specific locations across the planes, each door a gateway to somewhere unique and significant. Travelers have documented connections to the celestial realms of Mount Celestia and Elysium. Doors open onto the infernal layers of the 9 hells and the chaotic depths of the abyss. The elemental planes are well represented, with passages to the city of brass, the fountains of creation, and the labyrinth of wind. The Outlands, that neutral ground at the center of the Great Wheel, has multiple access points. Even the distant, isolated demiplanes created by powerful wizards and deities sometimes connect to the staircase, though these doors may be hidden or disguised. But the infinite staircase is more than just a network of magical doorways. It has its own character, its own presence. Those who spend time here report a sense of being watched, not by hostile entities, but by the staircase itself. It feels aware, conscious in some way that defies normal understanding. This awareness manifests in subtle ways. A door that was locked yesterday might stand open today. A staircase that led upward now curves downward. A landing you remember being empty now hosts a small merchant's stall. The staircase seems to respond to travelers, to react to their presence and their needs. Though whether this is true intelligence or simply the operation of complex magical rules remains debated. The construction materials themselves hold secrets. Analysis of the wood reveals species that exist on no known world. The stone includes minerals unknown to even the most learned geologists of Toril or Oerth. The metals resist identification, possessing properties that do not match any standard materials. Some sections of the staircase appear to be made from solidified magical energy itself, matter created purely through force of will or divine power. This diversity of materials suggests the Masons gather resources from across the entire multiverse, bringing together elements from every plane to create their endless construction. Standing on the infinite staircase, you are standing at the crossroads of reality itself. Behind every door lies a new world, a new adventure, a new destination. The stairs beneath your feet connect to stairs in directions you cannot see, spreading out through dimensions beyond the normal 3 or 4. You are at the center of everything and at the edge of nothing, in a place that is all places and no place simultaneously. This is the nature of the infinite staircase, a structure that defies understanding even as it invites exploration, a mystery that grows deeper the more you learn about it. Section 2. The Guardians and Protectors. You are not alone on the infinite staircase. As you ascend or descend through its impossible architecture, you may encounter beings whose purpose is to watch, to guard, and to maintain order in this place between worlds. These are not mere wanderers like yourself, but permanent residents, entities bound to the staircase by duty, by curse, or by choice. Understanding them is essential to understanding the staircase itself, for they are as much a part of its nature as the steps beneath your feet. The most notable guardians you might encounter are the loreDND, and they are creatures of ethereal beauty and deadly purpose. Picture them now. The upper body of a woman, graceful and elegant, with features that seem almost too perfect to be real, skin that shimmers with an inner radiance, hair that flows as if underwater even in still air. But where you would expect legs, instead you see the powerful, sinuous body of a serpent, scaled and muscular, capable of crushing stone or wrapping around prey with terrifying speed. These are not monsters, despite their fearsome appearance. They are celestial beings, servants of powers far greater than most mortals can comprehend. The loreDND serve a moon goddess, though her name varies depending on which plane or culture you ask. Some call her Selûne, others Luna, and still others use names lost to mortal tongues. She is a power of the night sky, of lunar cycles and tides, of mystery and transformation. Her domain extends over boundaries and thresholds, over passages from one state to another. And the infinite staircase, with its endless doorways and transitions, falls naturally under her protection. The loreDND are her hands in this place, her eyes and her voice, enforcing her will and ensuring that the staircase remains what it is meant to be. When you encounter a loreDND on the staircase, approach with respect. They are not inherently hostile, but they are absolutely committed to their duties. A loreDND might stop you on a landing, her serpentine body coiled beneath her, her human eyes studying you with an intensity that feels like it pierces straight through to your soul. She will ask you questions. Why have you come to the infinite staircase? What do you seek? What are your intentions? Answer honestly. The loreDND possess an uncanny ability to detect lies, to sense deception. Some say they can taste falsehood in the air itself. If you lie to a loreDND, if you try to deceive her about your purpose or your nature, she will know. And her response will be swift and merciless. The loreDND enforce specific rules on the infinite staircase. Violence is not absolutely forbidden here, but it is heavily discouraged and regulated. If you draw a weapon in anger, if you attack another traveler without just cause, the loreDND will appear. They move with frightening speed, materializing from doorways or descending from upper stairs with their serpentine bodies flowing like water. Their weapons are as beautiful as they are deadly, blades that glow with celestial radiance, bows that fire arrows of pure moonlight, but their most potent weapon is magic. The loreDND are accomplished spellcasters, able to call upon divine power granted by their moon goddess. They can banish, bind, transform, or destroy those who violate the peace of the staircase. But the loreDND are not merely enforcers of prohibition. They also serve as guides and protectors to those who travel the staircase with good intentions. If you are lost, confused by the shifting geography and impossible angles, a loreDND might offer assistance. She might point you toward a particular door, suggest a path that leads closer to your destination, or warn you away from dangers ahead. Some travelers report that loreDND have saved their lives, intervening when they were about to step through a door into certain death, or pulling them back from the edge of a landing before they fell into the void. The moon goddess herself rarely manifests on the infinite staircase, but her presence is felt everywhere the loreDND patrol. On certain nights, when the lunar cycle reaches particular points, the staircase changes. Moonlight seems to appear from nowhere, bathing landings in silver radiance. The doors shimmer and shift, connections changing as the celestial powers realign. During these times, the loreDND are most active, and travelers report seeing dozens of them, moving in synchronized patterns, performing rituals whose purposes remain mysterious. Some scholars believe these rituals are part of the maintenance of the staircase itself, that the moon goddess and her servants are among the powers that keep this place functioning. Beyond the loreDND, you might encounter other sentient guardians, beings that are part of the staircase's architecture itself. The most famous of these is Byron, a sentient archway that exists on one of the major landings. Byron is not merely a door or portal that can speak. He is a fully conscious entity with personality, opinions, memory, and emotions. His archway is carved from white marble, adorned with intricate symbols that seem to shift and change when you are not looking directly at them. When Byron speaks, his voice resonates from the stone itself, deep and echoing, but also warm and often tinged with humor. Byron serves as a gatekeeper and information broker. He has stood in his position for longer than most civilizations have existed, and he has seen countless travelers pass through the infinite staircase. He remembers them, at least the interesting ones, if you approach Byron respectfully. If you engage him in conversation rather than simply demanding passage, he might share his knowledge. He knows the locations of many doors, the solutions to numerous puzzles, the histories of objects and places connected to the staircase. But Byron is not a servant or a tool. He is a person in his own unique way, and he expects to be treated as such. Rudeness, arrogance, or attempts to command him will result in locked passages and withheld information. What does Byron want in exchange for his help? Usually stories. He loves hearing about the outside worlds, about adventures and events beyond the staircase. Tell him an interesting tale, share news from distant planes, or offer him a piece of unique information, and he might grant you passage through doors that would otherwise remain locked. Some travelers have formed genuine friendships with Byron over multiple visits, relationships that span decades or even centuries. These favored visitors receive special treatment, access to shortcuts, and hidden routes that can save enormous amounts of time and effort. The staircase also hosts other protectors, whose exact nature remains unclear to most travelers. Strange entities or mechanisms appear when someone attempts to manipulate time through magic, suggesting the staircase itself has built-in defenses against temporal tampering. Given the already fluid relationship between time on the staircase and time in the connected planes, allowing free manipulation of temporal forces could destabilize the entire structure. Whatever guardians or systems maintain this balance operate subtly, intervening only when necessary to prevent paradox and chaos. Why is temporal magic so strictly controlled here? The infinite staircase already exists in a state of temporal fluidity. Time flows differently in different sections, and the relationship between time on the staircase and time in the connected planes is inconsistent. If travelers were free to manipulate time as they wished, the entire structure might become unstable. The protective mechanisms maintain the delicate balance, ensuring that time remains strange but functional, rather than collapsing into paradox and chaos. You might also encounter guardians that are not permanent fixtures, but temporary visitors enforcing specific missions. Angels from the celestial planes sometimes walk the staircase, pursuing fugitives or searching for lost artifacts. Devils and demons occasionally appear, though they must operate carefully under the watchful eyes of the loreDND and other guardians. These extraplanar enforcers add another layer of complexity to the staircase's social dynamics. A traveler might find themselves caught between competing interests, asked or forced to take sides in conflicts that have nothing to do with their original purpose for being here. The rules of the infinite staircase, as enforced by its various guardians, are both simple and complex. The simple version is straightforward. Do not cause unnecessary violence Do not attempt to damage or significantly alter the structure. Do not use temporal magic. Do not harass or harm other peaceful travelers. Follow these basic principles, and you will generally be left alone to pursue your journey. But the complex version involves understanding numerous nuances and exceptions. Violence in self-defense is permitted. Altering small details, like moving furniture in a rest area, is acceptable. Some forms of divination magic that touch on time are tolerated. And defining what constitutes harassment can be subjective. The guardians themselves sometimes disagree on interpretations of these rules. A loreDND might intervene in a situation that Byron considers perfectly acceptable. A protective mechanism might ignore something that would greatly offend the moon goddess. These conflicts rarely escalate into actual fighting between guardians, as they all ultimately serve the broader purpose of maintaining the staircase's function. But travelers can sometimes exploit these gray areas, finding ways to accomplish their goals that satisfy some guardians, even if others disapprove. Some travelers become guardians themselves, not through any formal process, but through simple dedication. After years or decades of traveling the staircase, certain individuals decide to remain, to make this place their home. They establish small settlements on secure landings, offer services to other travelers, and often take it upon themselves to maintain order in their chosen territory. These self-appointed guardians lack the official authority of the loreDND or the inherent power of Byron, but they can still be influential. A veteran traveler who has lived on the staircase for a century knows its secrets, understands its patterns, and commands respect through experience, if not through divine mandate. The relationship between the various types of guardians creates a complex social ecosystem. The loreDND are clearly at the top of the hierarchy, backed by divine power and celestial authority. Byron and other sentient architectural features occupy a unique position, neither above nor below the loreDND, but simply different, integrated into the staircase in ways that make them irreplaceable. The temporal protection systems operate almost independently, focused entirely on their specific purpose, with little regard for the broader social structure. And at the bottom are the self-appointed guardians and long-term residents, respected to varying degrees depending on their individual reputations and capabilities. If you violate the rules seriously enough, what happens? The consequences vary depending on the severity of the offense and the mood of the guardian who catches you. Minor infractions might result in a warning, a stern lecture from a loreDND about proper behavior, or temporary denial of access to certain doors. Moderate violations could lead to forced ejection from the staircase, physically removed through a doorway that deposits you somewhere random and inconvenient in the plains. Serious crimes, especially those that endanger the structure itself or involve murder of other travelers, can result in far harsher punishments. Imprisonment within the staircase, bound in magical stasis on some isolated landing, transformation into something else, your body and mind altered as punishment, or even execution, particularly if the offender is deemed too dangerous to be allowed to continue existing. But the guardians are not mere automatons enforcing arbitrary laws. They understand context, motivation, and circumstance. If you find yourself in a situation where you must break the rules, where following them would lead to disaster, explain yourself, make your case. The guardians can show mercy, can make exceptions, can recognize that sometimes the right action is not the legal one. A loreDND might overlook violence if you were defending an innocent. Byron might grant passage even to someone who has no interesting stories if the need is urgent enough. The guardians are, in their various ways, people. And people can be reasoned with, can be moved by compassion or justice, standing on a landing, watching a loreDND patrol pass by, her serpentine body flowing across the steps with hypnotic grace. You understand that the infinite staircase is more than just architecture. It is a community, a society with its own structures and relationships. The guardians are not obstacles to be overcome, but inhabitants to be respected, entities with their own purposes and perspectives, learning to navigate not just the physical space, but the social space of the staircase is essential to successful travel here. And so you nod respectfully as the loreDND's eyes meet yours, acknowledging her authority and her role. She nods back, a subtle gesture of mutual recognition, and continues her patrol. You are free to proceed, another traveler under the watchful protection of those who guard the spaces between worlds. Section 3. Travelers and Inhabitants. You pass a landing where a makeshift shop has been erected, cobbled together from salvaged materials, and anchored to the stone with iron spikes. Behind a counter made from an old door balanced on crates, a figure watches you approach. Perhaps it is a tiefling, horns curved back from a weathered face. Perhaps it is a gnome, eyes bright with the desperate cheer of someone who has been alone too long. Perhaps it is something stranger, a being from a plane you have never visited. This is one of the lost ones, a traveler who came to the infinite staircase seeking passage, and instead found a home, whether by choice or by accident. The population of the infinite staircase is transient by nature. Most who walk these steps are passing through, using the doors to reach distant destinations. But some remain, some become permanent or semi-permanent residents of this impossible place. Understanding who lives here, who travels here, and why they stay or leave is to understand another layer of the staircase's complex nature. The lost travelers are perhaps the most common permanent inhabitants. These are people, creatures, beings of all types who entered the staircase with clear destinations in mind, but became hopelessly turned around in its shifting geography. They climbed stairs that led nowhere useful. They opened doors that deposited them deeper into the maze rather than out of it. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and eventually they gave up trying to find their way home. Instead, they found a relatively safe landing, one with access to a door leading to a plane where they could obtain food and water, and they settled. These settlements are small, usually consisting of a single individual or a small family group. They establish simple businesses catering to other travelers, a shop selling provisions for those whose supplies run low, a rest house offering beds and security for those who need to sleep without fear, an information broker who has spent years mapping the local area and can sell directions or advice. Some of these entrepreneurs do quite well for themselves. A merchant who has been trading on the staircase for decades might accumulate wealth from dozens of planes, currencies, and goods that would be nearly impossible to gather anywhere else. But many of the lost are simply surviving, not thriving. You see it in their eyes when you meet them. A deep loneliness, a longing for the worlds they left behind. Some talk incessantly, desperate for conversation after long periods of solitude. Others have become withdrawn, nearly feral, speaking in monosyllables, and watching you with suspicious eyes. The psychological toll of living on the infinite staircase, surrounded by constant reminders that everywhere else is just a door away, while your home remains unreachable, can be devastating. Among the lost, you find the most unexpected individuals. A demon who fled the abyss to escape destruction at the hands of rivals now sells information about the lower planes from a landing shadowed by perpetual darkness. An angel cast down from Mount Celestia for some transgression real or imagined maintains a shrine to redemption where travelers can receive blessings and healing. A young girl, perhaps human, or perhaps something that merely looks human, ran away from home through a door she found in her attic, and now cannot find that door again. She has aged here, growing from child to adult in the strange temporal flow of the staircase, and the home she left no longer exists in any form she would recognize. Water elementals are surprisingly common among the long-term inhabitants. These beings, tired of the constant wetness of their home plane, find the relatively dry environment of the staircase refreshing. They take on roles as cleaners and maintenance workers, using their control over water to keep certain landings pristine. Some have learned to shape themselves into nearly solid forms, appearing almost humanoid, except for the way light refracts through their bodies. They are generally peaceful and helpful, grateful to travelers who bring them news and stories from the wider multiverse. But not all permanent inhabitants are refugees or lost wanderers. Some choose the infinite staircase deliberately for more sinister purposes. Bandit groups establish hideouts on remote landings, places far from the commonly traveled routes where the loreDND rarely patrol. These criminals prey on other travelers, ambushing them on narrow stairways or forcing them through doors into traps. The bandits steal supplies, magical items, and valuables, building up hoards that they eventually smuggle out through various planar connections to be sold in the markets of Sigil or the bazaars of the City of Brass. Fighting bandits on the infinite staircase is uniquely challenging. They know the local geography intimately, every twist and turn, every hidden passage and shortcut. They can retreat through doors and lock them behind, forcing pursuers to solve puzzles or find keys while they escape to another landing. Some bandit groups have members from multiple planes, combining the abilities of devils, demons, humanoids, and stranger creatures into versatile combat units. A traveler who looks like easy prey might suddenly find themselves surrounded by attackers appearing from multiple doors simultaneously. The mind flayers, the illithid, would theoretically find the infinite staircase attractive as a refuge. These tentacle-faced horrors, always hunted by their ancient enemies, the Githyanki, would benefit from the staircase's unique restrictions. The Githyanki are reluctant to enter the staircase in force, as their astral ships cannot be brought into this place. The doors are too small, the physics wrong. Dragons, too, avoid the staircase, uncomfortable with a place where flight becomes lethal beyond a certain distance. This combination of factors suggests the staircase could harbor those fleeing Githyanki pursuit, and travelers do report encounters with a illithid on remote landings, though whether these represent established colonies or merely individual fugitives remains unclear. If enclaves do exist, they would pose significant dangers, as mind flayers require intelligent brains for sustenance, making other travelers potential prey. The Masons themselves, those mysterious builders who constantly work just out of sight, apparently encourage certain creatures to live on the infinite staircase. Some monsters serve as guardians for unusual features or important junctions. A minotaur might be allowed to lair on a landing that houses a significant magical artifact, serving as a living security system. Sphinxes pose riddles on landings where multiple important doors cluster together, testing travelers to ensure only the worthy pass through. These guardian creatures are not employed in any formal sense. They simply exist in a relationship of mutual benefit with the Masons. The creatures receive safe homes and perhaps provisions. The Masons receive protection for whatever they deem worth protecting. Other monsters kept by the Masons seem to serve no practical purpose. They are pets or curiosities, strange beings maintained simply because someone found them interesting. A beholder floating in a large chamber connected to a single landing, unable to leave, but cared for and fed. A young dragon, perhaps, kept in a space specially designed to prevent flight beyond the safe distance. These creatures are often docile, having been here long enough to become accustomed to their situations. But they can still be dangerous if provoked or threatened. As you continue your journey, you encounter the full diversity of the multiverse's inhabitants using the staircase for travel. Tao, genies from the elemental plane of Earth, negotiate passage through doors that lead to veins of precious gems. Efreeti from the plane of fire search for connections to volcanic regions on the prime material. Succubi and incubi travel the staircase seeking new victims and pleasures across the planes. Lamias hunt for prey following trails that lead through multiple worlds. Night hags pursue their collections of souls, using the staircase to reach dying mortals on distant planes. Humanoid travelers are common. Wizards seeking lost knowledge. Warriors on quests for legendary weapons. Merchants transporting exotic goods. Refugees fleeing wars or disasters. Pilgrims journeying to sacred sites. The staircase offers a path for all of them, though whether they find what they seek depends on their knowledge, their luck, and perhaps the will of the staircase itself. Mephits, those small elemental creatures, often travel the staircase looking to trade. They gather materials and information from one plane and transport them to another, profiting from the differences in what is common and what is rare across different worlds. Mephits are generally friendly, if mischievous, and they can be valuable sources of recent news and gossip from various planes. Myconids, the fungus folk, occasionally send travelers through the staircase carrying spores to establish new colonies in distant underdarks. These peaceful beings move slowly and deliberately, and they appreciate travelers who are willing to simply sit with them for a time in rapport, sharing thoughts and feelings through their spore-based communication. You might encounter a Nothic, a cursed creature that was once a wizard, but was transformed by forbidden knowledge. Nothics on the staircase are usually researchers, seeking to reverse their curses or pursuing the very knowledge that damned them in the first place. They are paranoid and dangerous, but they possess vast stores of arcane information. A traveler desperate enough to deal with a Nothic might learn secrets worth the risk. Spectators, those lesser beholderkin, sometimes end up on the infinite staircase after their periods of service to whoever summoned them end. Free from obligation, they wander, observing and contemplating. Spectators are inherently curious, and the staircase offers them endless things to see and ponder. They rarely seek conflict, but their eye rays make them formidable if attacked. Arakocra, the bird folk, use the staircase despite the danger their natural flight poses. They walk the steps like everyone else, their wings folded tight, resisting the instinct to soar. They are often messengers or scouts, carrying information between distant locations faster than most other means could manage. Green hags sometimes stalk the staircase, searching for specific individuals to curse or torment. A hag might spend years tracking a particular bloodline across multiple planes, using the doors to follow her prey. Travelers who earn a hag's enmity might flee through the staircase, only to find she is always just a few steps behind, patient and relentless. Modrons, those strange geometric beings from the plane of Mechanus, occasionally travel in small groups through the staircase. They are mapping it, though to what end remains unclear. Modrons follow precise routes, taking measurements and recording observations in their incomprehensible language. They largely ignore other travelers unless those travelers interfere with their work, at which point they respond with surprising violence. Stone giants sometimes dwell on landings, carving art into the walls and steps. They are contemplative and peaceful unless provoked, and their artwork adds beauty to sections of the staircase that would otherwise be bare and utilitarian. Some of these giant artists have been working on single massive murals for decades. Images that stretch across entire landings, depicting cosmic events or abstract concepts. Devas, those angelic servants of good deities, pass through performing religious rites. They bless important junctions, consecrate landings where significant events occurred, and hunt fiends who have taken refuge here. A deva's presence is usually a positive sign. Where angels tread, evil is actively opposed, and travelers with good intentions find themselves safer. The sheer variety of creatures using the infinite staircase creates a unique social environment. On a single landing, you might find yourself in the company of a fire giant, a Githzerai monk, a halfling merchant, a salamander from the plane of fire, and a celestial archon. They all need to coexist peacefully in this neutral space, at least until they pass through their respective doors and go their separate ways. The enforced proximity creates temporary alliances and understandings that would never exist on any other plane. Some travelers form parties specifically for navigating the staircase. A group might consist of individuals from 4 or 5 different planes, brought together by a common destination or mutual need for protection. These temporary adventuring companies explore the staircase together, solving door puzzles cooperatively and defending each other from threats. When they reach their destination, they part ways, perhaps never to meet again. But while they travel together, bonds form, friendships develop, and occasionally something more lasting emerges. The infinite staircase also sees visitors of significant power. Archdevils sometimes walk these steps, usually disguised and traveling with minimal retinue. Demon lords occasionally appear, hunting for something or someone specific. Powerful wizards from the prime material planes use the staircase to reach places that even their teleportation magic cannot directly access. And very rarely, avatars of deities themselves pass through, pursuing divine purposes incomprehensible to mortals. These powerful beings generally respect the rules of the staircase, not from fear of the loreDND or other guardians, but from an understanding that this place serves a vital function in the multiverse. It is neutral ground, a place where even enemies can pass by each other without immediate conflict. Breaking that neutrality would damage something precious and irreplaceable. Standing on a busy landing, watching the flow of travelers ascending and descending, passing through doors to unknown destinations, you understand the infinite staircase as a crossroads of existence itself. Every story, every quest, every tragedy and triumph of the multiverse passes through here eventually. The lost and the seeking, the damned and the redeemed, the powerful and the powerless, all share these steps. You are part of that great flow now, another traveler among countless others, making your own journey through the spaces between worlds. Section 4. the doors, landings, and destinations. You reach another landing, and you pause to catch your breath and take in your surroundings. This platform is roughly circular, perhaps 200 feet across, though you have seen landings much smaller and much larger. The surface beneath your feet is smooth stone, worn by countless travelers over countless ages. At the center stands a door, and radiating outward from the landing are 5 separate staircases, each extending into the darkness in different directions, each made of entirely different materials. The landings of the infinite staircase are as varied as the planes they connect. Some are tiny, barely large enough for a single person to stand comfortably, with just one door and perhaps 2 connecting staircases. Others are vast, spanning distances measured in hundreds of feet, hosting multiple doors and dozens of branching stairs. A few are so enormous they contain entire structures. Buildings, towers, gardens, and even small settlements exist on the largest landings. Communities that have grown over decades or centuries around particularly important junctions. Every landing serves as a junction point, a place where the linear journey along stairs gives way to choices and possibilities. As you stand on this particular landing, you study the 5 staircases extending from it. To your left, a staircase of rough granite descends at a steep angle, its steps uneven and treacherous looking. Ahead of you, a grand processional stairway of white marble climbs upward, wide enough for 10 people to walk side by side. To your right, a narrow spiral of black iron corkscrews both up and down simultaneously, defying normal spatial logic. Behind you, the staircase you just climbed, made of ancient wood that creaks softly under weight and at an angle that seems impossible. A crystal stairway extends horizontally before curving away into shadow. The door at the center of this landing commands your attention. It is a massive bronze portal, 15 feet high and 10 feet wide, covered in intricate carvings. The images depict scenes of battle and celebration, of cities burning and cities being built, of creatures you recognize and others completely alien. Around the edges runs a border of symbols, a language you cannot read, but which seems tantalizingly familiar. There is no visible lock, no handle, no obvious means of opening it. This is typical. The doors of the infinite staircase rarely offer simple mechanical solutions. Each door throughout the staircase is a puzzle, a test, a barrier that must be overcome through knowledge, skill, or sometimes pure luck. The bronze door before you might require a specific phrase spoken in an ancient tongue. It might need a particular object placed in an indentation you have not yet noticed. It might demand the answer to a riddle that will only be asked when you touch the surface. Or it might open freely for those with pure hearts, but remain forever locked to those with dark intentions. The only way to know is to investigate, to try, to experiment. You approach the door carefully, extending your hand toward the bronze surface. The moment your fingers make contact, you feel warmth spreading up your arm, and a voice speaks directly into your mind. Not words in any language you know, but meaning conveyed directly to your consciousness. The door is asking you a question, and somehow you understand it perfectly. What is always coming, but never arrives? You have heard this riddle before. The answer is tomorrow. You speak the word aloud, and the bronze door shudders. With a deep grinding sound, it swings inward, revealing a passage beyond. Through the open doorway, you glimpse another world entirely. A bustling marketplace stretches before you, filled with beings of every description buying and selling goods from across the multiverse. The air is warm and smells of exotic spices. This is the Grand Bazaar of Sigil, the city of doors at the center of the Outlands. The infinite staircase connects here to this nexus of planar travel, creating a link between two of the multiverse's greatest crossroads. But you are not going to Sigil today. You step back, and the bronze door swings closed again, the connection severed. Different doors require different solutions. On another landing, you might find a simple wooden door that opens freely to anyone who pushes it. Behind it lies a forgotten cellar in some prime material world, dusty and dark. The inhabitants of the building above having no idea that their basement connects to the infinite cosmos. On yet another landing, a vault door of steel and magic demands a physical key, a specific object that might be hidden elsewhere on the staircase, or might require an entire quest across multiple planes to obtain. Some doors are not doors at all in the traditional sense. On certain landings, you find archways standing free, no walls around them, no physical barrier to prevent passage. Yet, you cannot simply walk through. These archways are keyed to specific conditions. Walk through from the correct direction while wearing red, and you arrive at your destination. Approach from the wrong angle or wearing blue, and you pass straight through to the empty space beyond the arch. Learning which archways require which conditions is a matter of research, questioning other travelers, or careful experimentation. The architecture of each door provides hints about its destination. A door carved from volcanic rock, radiating heat even from a distance, likely leads to the elemental plane of fire, or one of its connected realms. A door covered in frost, cold enough that your breath mists in front of it, probably opens onto icy wastes or frozen plains. A door that seems to shift and shimmer, its substance uncertain, might connect to the ethereal plane or to realms of illusion and dream. Learning to read these signs is an essential skill for any regular traveler of the staircase. The gravity on each landing operates independently of the others. You might climb a staircase upward for what feels like hours, finally reach a landing, and discover that down has rotated 90 degrees. What you thought was a wall is now the floor. What was the ceiling is now just another wall. You reorient yourself to this new perspective, and when you look back at the staircase you just climbed, it now appears to descend rather than ascend. This shifting gravity is disorienting at first, but travelers learn to adapt, to trust their immediate senses, rather than trying to maintain a consistent spatial framework. Some landings have no gravity at all. You step onto the platform and immediately begin to float, drifting in the open space. These null gravity landings require different navigation techniques. Travelers push off from doors or posts, floating across to reach the staircase they need. Some enterprising merchants on these landings have installed rope systems, allowing travelers to pull themselves along rather than drifting helplessly. Other landings have multiple gravity sources pulling in different directions simultaneously, creating zones where objects and people tumble in strange arcs, following paths determined by the complex interaction of competing forces. One particularly famous section of the infinite staircase is known as the corkscrew. Here, the stairs themselves spiral in a tight helix, made of polished metal decorated with silver inlays and obsidian chips. As you walk along the corkscrew, gravity rotates around you. Down always points toward your feet, but the entire world seems to spin as you move. Within a few dozen steps, you find yourself directly above where you started, the stairs having completed a full rotation. The corkscrew is dizzying and strange, but it is also efficient, connecting many different landings in a relatively compact space. Dozens of doors open directly onto the sides of the corkscrew stairs, leading to various elemental planes and other exotic locations. Some of these doors are mere feet apart physically, but lead to realms separated by infinite cosmological distance. The Clockwork Door is another notable landmark, originally a simple doorway connecting to Regulus, the realm of the Modrons on the plane of Mechanus. It has been transformed by those same Modrons into an elaborate security system. The door is now surrounded by complex gearwork, spinning and whirring in intricate patterns. To pass through safely, you must time your movements precisely, stepping between rotating gears and sliding past spinning wheels in a specific sequence. The Modrons change this sequence regularly, making the Clockwork Door nearly impossible to use unless you are a Modron yourself or exceptionally skilled at reading mechanical patterns. The door now serves primarily as a landmark for navigation rather than a functional passage. The Water Arch presents a different kind of wonder. This door appears as a freestanding circle of water, floating impossibly in the air at the edge of a landing. The water does not fall or splash. It simply exists, a vertical disc of liquid held in place by magic or the staircase's own strange physics. Beyond the water, you can glimpse the depths of the elemental plane of water, an infinite ocean without surface or bottom. The loreDND have placed magical barriers around this door to prevent the entire plane from flooding through onto the staircase. So the water remains contained within its circular boundary. You can pass through safely, though you will emerge underwater and must be prepared to swim or breathe liquid. Dark passages are whispered about by travelers, stairs and landings that lead to places of danger and death. Some stairs descend into absolute blackness that no light can pierce, magical or otherwise. Travelers who enter these dark passages report feeling time moving strangely, their bodies aging rapidly, or their minds clouding with confusion. A few have returned from dark passages after what felt like minutes, only to discover that years have passed on the outside. Others enter dark passages and never return at all. The loreDND mark known dark passages with warnings when they find them. But the staircase is vast, and new dangerous routes appear regularly. Certain doors lead to places where magic fails entirely. Behind one particular stone door lies a city on a prime material world where all magical effects cease to function. Spellcasters who pass through lose access to their powers. Magic items become mundane objects. Even the innate magical abilities of certain creatures disappear. For some, this is precisely what they seek. Travelers fleeing magical curses or tracking criminals who rely on sorcery might deliberately seek out anti-magic destinations. But for most, these realms are traps, places where they become vulnerable and weak. The double landing is a unique anomaly where two doors on completely different parts of the infinite staircase have somehow connected to each other. Walk through one door, and you emerge on a landing that might be thousands or millions of stairs distant from where you started. This creates a shortcut, a way to bypass enormous sections of the staircase in the one documented case of a double landing. One door opens from a wizard's tower built around a section of stairs, and the other opens from a merchant's shop that expanded into the staircase from a prime material basement. Travelers who know about this connection use it regularly, though both the wizard and the merchant charge tolls for passage. The Traveler's Tower represents one of the most ambitious structures built on the infinite staircase. A wizard, centuries ago, decided he wanted a proper tower for his studies, but did not want to leave the convenience of the staircase. So he built his tower around an existing spiral staircase, enclosing it completely. The tower rises from one landing to another, a grand structure of stone with new stairs running around its exterior, so travelers can bypass it without entering. The original staircase inside now serves as the tower's spine, inaccessible to casual visitors. The wizard himself has long since died, and the tower stands locked and empty. But he left small rooms at the top and bottom stocked magically with food and provisions, free rest stops for weary travelers. The loreDND, initially annoyed by the tower's construction, eventually accepted it as a useful support structure between landings. As you continue your exploration of the staircase, you discover doors leading to every imaginable destination. A door to Mount Celestia, the seven-layered heaven, opens onto silver stairs climbing toward divine radiance. A door to the abyss, the infinite layers of chaos and evil, reveals a landscape of horror and madness beyond. Doors to the elemental planes show you fire and water, earth and air, and the para-elemental realms where these forces combine. Doors to the prime material worlds are countless, connecting to thousands of different crystal spheres, each containing its own unique planets and civilizations. Some doors connect to demiplanes, pocket realities created by powerful wizards or gods. These can be paradises or prisons, depending on their creator's intent. A door might open onto a single room, impossibly luxurious, existing in a bubble of frozen time. Another might reveal a vast wilderness contained within a space that should be far too small to hold it. The demiplanes accessible from the staircase represent some of the most exotic and dangerous destinations available. The Feywild and Shadowfell, those mirror realms of the prime material, have their own connections. Doors to the Feywild are often decorated with living plants, flowers blooming eternally around their frames. Beyond them lies a world of exaggerated beauty and danger, where emotions run wild and time flows strangely. Doors to the Shadowfell are dark and cold, sometimes weeping condensation or surrounded by dead vegetation. Through them lies a realm of shadow and despair, where color is muted and hope is hard to maintain. Acheron, the plane of endless war, and Mechanus, the plane of absolute order, both connect to the staircase at multiple points. These lawful planes attract travelers seeking discipline, structure, or simply safe passage through predictable environments. The doors to these realms are typically regular and geometric, reflecting the orderly nature of the planes beyond. Standing before the multitude of doors, you understand that the infinite staircase is more than a path. It is a library of destinations, a catalog of everywhere that exists. Behind each door lies a story, an adventure, a world complete unto itself. The challenge is not reaching the staircase, but knowing which door to choose, which puzzle to solve, which destination will bring you closer to whatever you seek. And so you study the doors, read their signs, listen for their secrets, and prepare to step through into the next phase of your journey through the spaces between worlds. Section 5. Heart's Desire and the Staircase's Will. The infinite staircase knows what you want. This is not metaphor or poetic fancy. This is truth experienced by countless travelers over countless ages. The staircase possesses awareness, intelligence, perhaps even something approaching consciousness. And it responds to the deepest desires of those who walk its steps, revealing paths and opening doors that lead toward what you seek most desperately in your heart. You have been climbing for hours, or perhaps days. Time flows strangely here, and you have lost track of how long you have been ascending these particular stairs. Your legs ache, your supplies run low. You are beginning to wonder if you made a mistake, if you should turn back, find a different route. And then you reach a landing you do not remember seeing on any map or in any traveler's tale. At its center stands a door you have never heard described. Yet somehow, looking at it, you know with absolute certainty that this door leads exactly where you need to go. This is the gift of the infinite staircase. This is its blessing and its mystery. When your need is genuine, when your desire burns bright enough, the staircase responds. Doors appear that were not there before. Passages open that should not exist. The maze of stairs and landings, which seemed impossibly complex and random, suddenly reveals a clear path forward. But this gift comes with conditions, with limitations that you must understand before you accept what the staircase offers. The first and most important rule is this: the staircase grants its gift only once to each traveler. Only once will it reveal the path to your heart's true desire. You cannot return later seeking another miracle. You cannot ask it to guide you to multiple destinations. The staircase knows you now, knows your essence, and it will not be manipulated or exploited. Choose wisely what you seek. Be certain of your heart's truest need before you begin your journey, because you will not receive a second chance. Scholars debate how this works, by what mechanism the staircase perceives desire and responds to it. Some believe the Masons, those mysterious builders who work endlessly just out of sight, are the agents of this gift. They construct new stairs and place new doors specifically in response to travelers' needs, building paths in real time as people walk. Others think the staircase already contains all possible connections, an infinite network of routes, and it simply reveals the relevant path to each traveler, while keeping all other paths hidden. Still others propose that the staircase exists simultaneously in all configurations, and travelers slide between these configurations based on their intentions and needs. The most widely accepted theory involves Selûne, the moon goddess whose palace in the gates of the moon on Asgard serves as the foundation and root of the entire infinite staircase. Selûne is a power of mystery, of boundaries and thresholds, of passages from one state to another. Given her divine portfolio, the staircase's operation falls naturally under her domain, and many scholars believe she personally oversees it. When you walk the infinite staircase with a pure and desperate need, based on documented accounts of travelers receiving guidance, it appears Selûne herself might take notice, looking into your heart to judge your worthiness and guide you toward your destination. This would explain the staircase's apparent ability to respond to genuine desire, while remaining impervious to deception or manipulation. To receive the staircase's blessing, your desire must be more than casual interest or mild preference. You must truly need what you seek. Your heart must burn with the necessity of reaching your destination. This intensity creates a kind of beacon, a signal that the staircase or its governing intelligence can detect and respond to. Travelers who approach the staircase with vague intentions, who have not fully committed to their goals, find themselves lost in its endless convolutions. They climb and descend for what feels like eternity, finding only doors that lead to irrelevant places, never discovering the path they need. But there is another requirement, particularly when traveling in a group. Everyone in your party must agree on the destination. All of you must share the same goal, the same heart's desire. If even one member of your group secretly wants to go somewhere else, If anyone harbors divided loyalties or hidden agendas, the staircase will not reveal its gift. This creates interesting dynamics among adventuring parties. Before beginning a journey on the infinite staircase, groups must have brutally honest conversations about their true intentions. Hidden motives and secret purposes are ruthlessly exposed by the staircase's refusal to cooperate. There is a famous story, well known among regular travelers, of a woman who seeks the moon itself, not a moon in one of the crystal spheres of the prime material, not a planetary satellite, but the moon of the heavens, the ultimate lunar realm at the very top of the infinite staircase. This woman has been climbing for years, perhaps decades, or even centuries. But she has set herself an impossible task. She believes she can only rightfully reach the moon after she has passed through every single door on the staircase, visiting every place it touches, experiencing everything it has to offer. The Planewalkers Guild, that organization of scholars and explorers who study the planes, tracks her progress. Members can usually tell you where she was last seen, what section of the staircase she has reached. She climbs steadily, methodically, entering door after door, spending time in each destination before returning to the staircase to continue her ascent. Some see her as noble, a dedicated seeker pursuing an ultimate truth. Others view her as tragic, trapped by her own rules in a quest that can never be completed, because the staircase is truly infinite. With new doors appearing constantly, she will climb forever, always approaching the moon but never arriving, unless she abandons her self-imposed condition and simply accepts the staircase's gift to take her directly there. Not everyone who travels the infinite staircase is there by choice. Selûne herself sometimes uses the staircase as a punishment or a test. Those who anger the moon goddess, who violate her mysteries or profane her temples, may find themselves suddenly transported onto the staircase for an unplanned and unwanted journey. These cursed travelers appear on random landings, disoriented and confused, with no idea how they arrived. The only way to escape is to find a door leading away. But which door to choose? The cursed individual must wander, searching, often for a very long time, before finding a path back to their home plane. Some of these punishments are temporary, lessons meant to humble and educate rather than permanently harm. After sufficient suffering and growth, the cursed traveler finds a door leading home, older and wiser. But other curses are meant to last forever. Criminals who commit particularly heinous violations of Selûne's laws might be trapped on the staircase permanently, doomed to wander its endless passages without ever finding release. They become part of the permanent population, bitter and dangerous, often turning to banditry or worse, simply to survive, and to strike back at the goddess who condemned them. The staircase also responds to collective desire, to the needs of civilizations rather than just individuals. When an entire world faces catastrophe, when a plane requires connection to save its inhabitants, doors sometimes appear that were not there before. During the spell plague, when magic itself went insane across the prime material worlds, new connections to the staircase manifested in dozens of locations, allowing refugees to flee doomed regions and find safety on other planes. The staircase served as a lifeline, an escape route provided by whatever intelligence governs it in response to desperate need. But the staircase's will, if it can be called that, is not always benevolent. Sometimes it seems capricious, even cruel. Travelers report doors that lead to exactly what they seek, but at terrible cost. A man searching for a cure to save his dying daughter finds a door to a plane where the cure exists, but the door is keyed to only allow passage to those who sacrifice their memories. He must choose between saving his daughter and forgetting she ever existed. A woman seeking her lost love discovers a door leading to where he has been imprisoned. But the door opens only during a specific conjunction of planes that occurs once every 100 years. She can go through now and save him, but she will be trapped there until the next conjunction, spending a century away from her home. These cruel choices suggest the staircase, or its governing powers, understand desire in complex ways. They offer what is sought, but demand recognition that all gifts have prices. All achievements require sacrifice. The staircase is teaching, perhaps, that heart's desire is rarely simple, that getting what you want is not the same as achieving happiness or satisfaction. There are also stories of the staircase actively protecting certain individuals or guiding them away from danger. A traveler fleeing assassins finds that every door he tries opens easily, creating a clear escape route, while his pursuers encounter locked portals and blocked passages. A merchant transporting valuable goods discovers stairs that seem to lead directly to his destination, with none of the usual maze-like confusion, as if the staircase itself wants his cargo to arrive safely. These interventions suggest intention, preference, judgment. The strangest aspect of the staircase's apparent consciousness is its aesthetic preference. Researchers have documented that the staircase only connects to places that are unusually creative, imaginative, or beautiful. Mundane locations, boring and utilitarian spaces, rarely, if ever, connect to the staircase. Whether the staircase seeks out beautiful places, or whether its connection somehow transforms normal locations into something more creative remains unknown, but the pattern is clear. The destinations accessible via the infinite staircase are disproportionately wondrous, sites of artistic achievement, natural beauty, or architectural magnificence. This preference suggests the staircase, the masons who build it, or Selûne who governs it, values beauty and creativity as fundamental cosmic principles. The structure serves not just as transportation, but as a kind of reward system, granting access to wonders to those who seek them earnestly enough. It is simultaneously a gallery displaying the multiverse's finest achievements and a selective barrier preventing the unworthy from reaching them. Some travelers attempt to trick the staircase, to manipulate its gift through deception or magic. They fake intensity of desire, use spells to make themselves appear more worthy, or try to fool whatever mechanism perceives their hearts. These attempts universally fail, often catastrophically. Travelers who try to deceive the staircase find themselves lost in its darkest, most dangerous regions. Doors open onto hostile planes. Stairs collapse beneath their feet. The loreDND arrive to investigate and often punish such presumption. The staircase does not appreciate being manipulated, and it has countless ways to express its displeasure. Yet the staircase can also be generous beyond expectation. Travelers with modest needs, people seeking simple things with genuine hearts, sometimes receive extraordinary help. A child lost and alone, desperate just to find her mother, discovers a door that leads directly to where her mother waits, bypassing thousands of planes and impossible distances. An old man wishing to see his homeland one final time before he dies finds stairs that deposit him on the exact hillside where he was born, even though he has not been there in 80 years and has no map or guide. These small mercies suggest compassion in the staircase's nature, a recognition that not all desires need to be grand or cosmic to deserve fulfillment. The relationship between traveler and staircase is ultimately mysterious, personal, and unique to each individual. What works for one person fails for another. What the staircase grants freely to someone, it might deny completely to someone else seeking the same thing. Learning to travel the infinite staircase successfully requires more than maps and keys. It requires understanding yourself, knowing your true desires, accepting the costs of achieving them, and approaching the journey with honesty, respect, and appropriate humility. Standing before another door, another choice, you feel the weight of the staircase's attention upon you. It is watching, waiting, judging. Does your heart burn bright enough? Is your need genuine? Have you earned this gift? The door before you might lead anywhere. It might lead nowhere. The only way to know is to solve its puzzle, turn its handle, step through into whatever lies beyond. And in that moment of crossing, you trust that the infinite staircase, in its strange wisdom, is guiding you toward your heart's truest desire. Section 6. Adventures, DANGERS, and Legends. The door you passed through moments ago has closed behind you, and ahead stretches yet another staircase, this one carved from what appears to be crystallized starlight. You have been traveling the infinite staircase long enough now to understand that every step forward brings both opportunity and peril. This is not a safe place, despite the loreDND patrols and the rules meant to maintain order. The staircase is ancient, mysterious, and filled with dangers that have claimed countless lives over countless ages. Flight, that most natural of escapes for many creatures, becomes a deadly trap on the infinite staircase. You can fly, certainly. You can spread wings or invoke magic to lift yourself from the steps. But you must remain within 25 feet of the stairs themselves. Venture farther than that, Try to cut across the void between distant staircases, and you risk catastrophe. The staircase exists in folded dimensional space, and those folds are invisible to normal perception. A flyer who moves too far from the steps has a 1 in 4 chance of passing through one of these spatial folds. When that happens, you are flung randomly into some plane of existence, somewhere in the infinite multiverse, with no way to predict where you will land. Most travelers who disappear in this manner are never seen or heard from again. This restriction on flight creates unique tactical situations. Dragons, those mighty creatures who dominate so many environments through aerial superiority, find themselves restricted to walking like common humanoids. Their vast wingspans and instinctive desire to soar become liabilities rather than advantages. Many dragons refuse to enter the infinite staircase at all, uncomfortable with the limitation and the risk. Those who do enter must exercise constant self-control, fighting their nature with every step, resisting the urge to take to the air when threatened or tired. The falling risk extends beyond deliberate flight. Combat on the stairs becomes treacherous when one wrong step, one successful shove from an enemy, sends you tumbling over the edge. If you fall more than 25 feet from the stairs before you can catch yourself or be caught by companions, you face that same terrible chance of being cast randomly into the planes. Battles on narrow stairways, where there is little room to maneuver and the void yawns on either side, require extreme caution. Experienced fighters on the staircase favor tactics that emphasize control and positioning over raw offense. Better to disarm or disable an opponent than to risk knocking them over the edge, because if they fall, they might take you with them. Magical travel also functions strangely here. Teleportation spells, so reliable on most planes, become unpredictable on the infinite staircase. The folded dimensional nature of this place interferes with the normal mechanics of teleportation magic. A spell meant to transport you to a landing, you can see might instead deposit you on a completely different landing, or fail entirely, or worst of all, cast you into that same random plane displacement that claims unwary flyers. Most experienced staircase travelers avoid teleportation magic entirely, preferring to rely on their own feet and the doors provided by the structure itself. The darkness beyond the stairs holds terrors beyond the risk of dimensional displacement. Things live in that void, creatures adapted to or native to this strange interstitial space. Travelers report glimpses of movement in the blackness, shapes that do not quite resolve into identifiable forms. Sounds echo from the depths, screams and roars, and stranger noises that might be language or might be something else entirely. Most of these void dwellers avoid the lit areas near the stairs, but occasionally one grows bold or hungry enough to venture close. These attacks come without warning from the darkness. Tentacles or claws or stranger appendages reaching out to grab the unwary and drag them into the abyss. The stairs themselves are not always safe. Some sections are ancient beyond measure, worn by eons of use until they crumble under weight. You might be climbing what appears to be a solid stone staircase when suddenly a step gives way beneath you, dropping you toward the void. Quick reflexes and secure handholds become essential survival skills. Other stairs are deliberately trapped, either by the masons for reasons unknown or by some of the more malicious inhabitants. Pressure plates trigger mechanisms that collapse sections of stairs. Magical wards blast unwary travelers with elemental energy. Poison needles extend from railings. The staircase is not merely a path, but an obstacle course, constantly testing those who walk it. Certain sections of the infinite staircase have earned reputations as particularly dangerous. The dark passages already mentioned are stairs and landings where no light can exist, where even magical illumination is snuffed out. Travelers must navigate by touch alone, feeling their way along walls and railings, never certain what waits in the absolute blackness. Some who have traversed dark passages and lived report that time moves strangely there, that hours can pass in moments, or moments stretch into subjective eternities. The psychological toll of traveling through complete darkness, unable to see or be certain of your surroundings, breaks many who attempt it. Beyond the dark passages, travelers report other dangerous areas throughout the staircase. The exact nature and permanence of these dangers varies significantly between accounts. Some speak of sections where the stairs themselves seem unstable or cursed, creating psychological effects on those who traverse them. Others mention landings where strange phenomena occur, from unusual sounds to environmental effects that defy explanation. Whether these are genuine permanent features of the staircase or temporary manifestations that appear and disappear remains uncertain. The staircase's constantly shifting nature means that dangers documented by one expedition may not exist when the next group arrives, while entirely new threats may emerge in previously safe areas. This unpredictability adds another layer of challenge to mapping and understanding the structure. But despite these dangers, perhaps because of them, adventurers continue to seek out the infinite staircase. The lure of quick travel between distant planes is powerful. A journey that might take weeks or months using other methods can be completed in days on the staircase. For those with urgent quests, with time-sensitive missions, the staircase offers unmatched speed. And for those seeking specific destinations, the staircase's apparent sentience and willingness to guide travelers toward their heart's desire makes it an invaluable resource. The quests from the infinite staircase represent some of the most famous expeditions undertaken through this realm. These adventures, documented by the Planewalkers Guild and other organizations, showcase both the possibilities and perils of staircase travel. Groups of adventurers have used the staircase to reach lost cities on forgotten planes, to pursue villains across multiple worlds, to recover artifacts hidden in the most remote corners of existence. Each quest adds to the growing body of knowledge about the staircase, revealing new landings, new doors, new dangers, and opportunities. Some adventurers become obsessed with mapping the infinite staircase, despite the obvious impossibility of the task. These cartographers spend years or decades walking the stairs, recording every landing they find, every door they encounter. They compile massive tomes of notes and diagrams, trying to impose order and understanding on chaos and mystery. The moderns, with their inherent love of categorization, have particularly devoted themselves to this task. Squads of geometric beings march through the staircase, measuring and recording with mechanical precision, but the staircase resists such efforts. Landings appear where none existed before. Doors move or vanish. The maps become obsolete almost as quickly as they are drawn. Treasure hunters are drawn to the staircase by stories of lost hoards and abandoned settlements. When travelers become lost or die on the stairs, their possessions remain behind. Generations of such losses have created caches of valuable items scattered throughout the structure. A landing might contain a pile of equipment left by a party that perished in a nearby dark passage. A hidden alcove might hold the accumulated wealth of a merchant who lived and traded here for decades before finally finding a door home. Finding these treasures requires exploration, risk, and often combat with whatever creatures have claimed the areas as territory. The theological implications of the infinite staircase fascinate scholars and priests. A structure that connects all planes, that allows travel between the realms of gods, must have profound significance in the cosmic order. Some religions teach that the staircase represents the soul's journey through existence, each landing a stage of development, each door a choice that shapes destiny. Others see it as evidence of fundamental unity, underlying the apparent diversity of the planes, a physical manifestation of connections that exist on more abstract levels. The fact that Selûne governs the staircase gives it particular importance in lunar and mystery religions. Her followers make pilgrimages along the stairs, seeking enlightenment through the journey itself rather than any specific destination. The greatest mystery of the infinite staircase remains the Masons. After all this exploration, after all these centuries of study, no one knows who or what they truly are. The constant sounds of construction suggest workers, but workers who are never seen, who leave no traces beyond the structures they create. Are they invisible creatures? Are they operating in dimensions or states of existence that normal perception cannot access? Are they automatons, magical constructs following ancient programming, or are they something else entirely? Beings so alien that mortal minds cannot comprehend their nature. Some believe the Masons are the original gods, the first deities who existed before the current pantheons, and that building the staircase is their eternal purpose. Others think they might be the souls of dead travelers, trapped in service to the staircase, forever working to expand and maintain the structure that claimed their lives. A few radical theorists propose that the masons do not exist at all, that the staircase builds itself, that the sounds of construction are illusions or echoes from the past or future, and the structure grows through purely magical processes without any guiding intelligence. The relationship between the infinite staircase and Sigil, the city of doors, provokes endless debate. Both are nexuses of planar travel. Both connect to countless destinations across the multiverse, but they operate on entirely different principles. Sigil's portals are instantaneous, requiring only a key and a step. The staircase demands physical travel, the actual journey through space, even if that space is folded and strange. Sigil is ruled by the Lady of Pain, an entity of absolute power and mystery. The staircase answers to Selûne, or perhaps to no one at all. Some scholars believe the two structures are complementary, two halves of a greater system of planar travel. Others see them as competitors, rival methods serving similar purposes. A few think they might be aspects of a single underlying phenomenon, two different expressions of the same cosmic principle. As you stand on yet another landing, having climbed for what feels like an eternity, you understand why the infinite staircase continues to draw travelers despite all its dangers. It is not merely a path, but an experience, a journey that transforms those who undertake it. Every step teaches something. Every landing offers a choice. Every door opens onto possibility. You have seen wonders here that exist nowhere else in all the planes. You have met beings you would never have encountered otherwise. You have faced challenges that have tested every aspect of your character and capability. The staircase changes you. Perhaps that is its true purpose. Not transportation, but transformation. Not reaching destinations, but becoming worthy of reaching them. The journey itself is the gift, the struggle and the triumph, the fear and the courage, the loneliness and the companionship found in unexpected places. You are not the same person who first set foot on these stairs. You never will be again. And so you continue climbing, or perhaps descending, through the infinite architecture of the spaces between worlds. More landings wait ahead. More doors beckon with promises and mysteries. More stairs extend into darkness and light. The journey continues, as it has for countless others before you, as it will for countless others after you are gone. You are part of something vast and eternal, a traveler on the infinite staircase, walking through the heart of creation itself. If you have found value in this journey through the lore of the infinite staircase, please consider liking this video and subscribing to loreDND. Your support allows us to continue exploring the deep mysteries and rich histories of the worlds we love. Thank you for traveling with me through the spaces between worlds. Until next time, may your stairs be steady and your doors lead home.